up, Doc? What's cooking? What's up, Doc? Oh, you're looking for Bugs Bunny bunting. Duck is gonna hunting just to get a rabbit skin, but now the rabbit's gonna get. What's up, Doc? What's cooking? Hey, look out! Stop! You're gonna hurt someone with that old shotgun. Hey, what's up, Doc? We really mean it. What's up, Doc?
Hello, friends. Are you ready?
What's for dinner? I'm hungry.
Yum, 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 yum.
Delicious.
Let's go, everybody. Yay! Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. So a few things. The name of this show, I've named it Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. It's kind of been brought to my attention that it's not a very catchy name. Let me know in the comments section if you guys like this name or if you want us to change it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, in one of our previous episodes, I did the Greek tzatziki sauce. And I'm getting old and I don't remember. So I just want to give a shout out to my best friend, Kathy, because she's the one who taught me how to make tzatziki and get a perfect result. So Kathy, I love you. Thank you. Okay, I'm actually really excited because I've had a really hard day. It was the day to clean my stove and it took me like 2-3 hours and I'm exhausted. So you're going to say to me, so then Zoe, why are you doing an episode today? Well, because I promised my cousin Rula, if you're out there and watching, and family, husband George and kids, Costa, Paris and Tia, this is for you guys. They love my desserts, so I promised them I would make them a dessert, and it's the weekend, so I decided that I want to make myself feel better, so I decided to tape this today and make this dessert. So we're going to make a dessert today. Yay! So a little story behind this dessert. There's an aunt in our family who we would go to Easter gatherings, Christmas gatherings, anniversary parties, baby showers, etc. And this aunt would always bring this cool, sweet, refreshing dessert. And it was amazing. We asked her, what do you call this? And she basically said, Cleopatra's Milfay refrigerator dessert. We all asked her for the recipe, and she didn't give it to us. Not because she was being mean. I think she enjoyed the fact that everybody looked forward to her bringing this dessert. I have to tell you guys that it's a dessert that it was the first one to go. Everybody loves cheesecake. Everybody loves chocolate cake. Everybody loves, fruit salads, whatever. This particular dessert was always the first to go. Throughout the years, I looked online, tried to find the recipe, and I couldn't. After 25 years of cooking, Google here, Google there, a few recipes here, a few recipes there, I finally figured out the recipe on my own. I experimented until I got it. And it's been about 15 years since I actually had Aunt Cleopatra's dessert. I don't remember exactly the taste of her dessert. What I do remember is it disappearing off the table. I remember everybody swooning and moaning and groaning. I got this result with this dessert. I made it for Christmas and it was the first to go. So I've made it a few times. This is probably the 4th or 5th time that I'm going to make it. My family loves it, and everybody I've served this particular dessert to loves it. There is one person who said it's a little bit sweet for me. If you make it and you find it too sweet, you can always omit a little bit of sugar. it's, you know, it's taste. The topping, and I'll let you guys know as we go along. So actually, let me run down the ingredients before I actually forget them. Because like I said, I'm getting old. They're on my iPhone. My iPhone is nowhere to be found because it's in the cameraman's hands. So let's actually run down the ingredients. So we need 1,500 grams of whole milk. Please don't use 2% or skim milk or whatever. Use whole milk in this particular dessert. We need 360 grams of white sugar. If you want a little less, add 300. Okay, but the recipe calls for 360. 240 grams of all-purpose flour. 3 eggs. 25 grams of unsalted butter. 2.5 packages of cookies. Did I say the 3 eggs? I think I did. 3 eggs. If I did, I'm sorry. 3 tubes of vanilla. I'll explain about that later. 1 level teaspoon of salt. And then for the topping, you need 500 grams of whipping cream and sugar to taste, icing sugar to taste, and cinnamon. So I thought about having all the ingredients all measured out before we start, but you know, this is an easy recipe. So I thought, you know, let me take the opportunity to quickly show you guys how I measure everything out. So we're going to start with the milk. I'm just going to grab my non-stick pot, and please use a non-stick pot for this recipe. It's not impossible to do in an aluminum pot or stainless steel pot. But when you're making custards and creams and not sure of the pronunciation in English, we call it bechamel. I think the French call it bechamel. But anyways, bechamel sauces, any type of white sauce or anything like that, these things can easily burn. So I really, really recommend a non-stick pot. So I have my handy kitchen scale and placing the pot on the scale, and I'm going to measure out the milk. We said we want 1,500 grams of milk.
Hello. It's ready.
She greeted me. She told me it's ready. So here we go. I'm pouring the milk. I feel for the edge of the pot slightly.
1 gram.
Right, see? So because I felt the pot maybe a little bit more than I should have, she said 1 gram. As soon as the scale settled, she went back to 0. So I'm just going to start pouring milk in. And I just have the bags of milk. So I have it in one of those milk milk bag holders. It's just a little pitcher with a handle that you put your bag of milk in. Most people know who live in Canada. But if you're doing it from a carton, that's fine. So this is just going really slowly just because I've made a very tiny hole because I add milk to my coffee and I don't want to over add, so the hole is really tiny. So bear with me. This bag is almost empty because it was half a bag. Now, as I'm measuring the milk out, I stop every so often because I want to give her time to tell me where I am, and also because I don't want the scale to shut off. Okay, so this bag is pretty much done. I'm just squeezing out of the bag. I pulled it out of the pitcher, and I'm just going to put that in the sink. So I'm just going to add another bag of milk into the pitcher. Whoops. And give me 1 second. I need the scissors, which I forgot to pull out before we started. And I'm just going to make a bigger hole because
586 grams.
we're going to be here forever. So I just snipped off the corner off the bag of milk. So here I go. I'm going to continue pouring. And I'm going to stop.
901 grams.
Okay, so we're at 901. Let's keep going.
1,000
Still need more.
1,440 grams.
Okay, so I'm at 1440 and I need 1500. So I don't need a lot to drop now. I need to control my hand a little bit. So I just let a little bit drop.
1,465 grams.
Okay, a little more.
1,501 grams.
Okay. Let me just, give me 1 second. Put the milk away so it doesn't go bad. Remember when I told you guys about grams? So my milk is 1501. 1 gram, it's not even a quarter of a teaspoon. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to put this aside. I'm going to put it on the burner, but I'm not going to turn it on. So, sugar. Now, I didn't turn off the scale, and I put the bowl on the scale. So she's going beep, 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 500 and whatever grams. She's trying to tell me the weight of the bowl. She's all confused. So I'm going to turn off the scale. I have the bowl on the scale. I'm going to turn it back on. It's ready. Alrighty. So I've got my white sugar. I just have I have it in a glass jar, which I have out for coffee. So I'm just going to pour sugar into the bowl. And I'm going to stop to see where I am.
204 grams.
Okay. And I actually just poured the whole thing in because
216 grams.
So I poured way too much. So I just have a little quarter cup measuring cup. I'm just going to scoop some out because I have put too much, and I'm going to dump it back into my bowl.
284 grams. 353 grams.
Okay, so I need 360. I'm at 353. I can leave it at 353. It doesn't matter. Remember I said somebody complained that it was a little too sweet. So you know what? If I wanted to, I would pour a little bit more back in. I'm not even going to bother. So you can play with the sugar. So that's good enough. So let's put the sugar aside. Now, I'm going to turn off the scale. In my sugar, whoops. So I poured the sugar a little bit too close to the edge and I just felt it. So I'm just pushing it with my spoon to kind of center it in the bowl. Okay. I'm using sea salt. You guys probably, or most people use just table salt. Be careful with the salt. You don't want too much. You just want to bring out the flavor. Salt enhances flavors in dessert. So I'm just going to do this over the sink. I just have a regular teaspoon, not a measuring teaspoon. And I scooped out a whole bunch of sea salt on my spoon, but it's way too much. I'm just going to slide my finger across. Most of it is going to fall into the actual container of the salt. So this is pretty good. It's pretty level. It's maybe even a little less than level. I just want a little bit of salt. So it's up to you guys. You know, you can actually just even get away with a few pinches. I'm just going to throw that right into the sugar. So I've done that. So we've added our salt. So 1 level teaspoon of salt, 360 grams sugar. We've measured out our 15 grams of milk. Now, vanilla powder. I know that in Toronto, you can get these tiny little jars. Actually, give me a second here. I'll show you guys. Okay, this is not vanilla powder. This is ammonia. I can't remember what it's called in English. Ammonia bicarbonate or something like that. Anyways, but this is what these little jars look like. They look like little, you sometimes get essential oils in these types of jars. So they're little tiny glass jars. They're probably about the size, half the size of a medicine bottle. and they've got a plastic cap on top. So in Greek bakeries, you can get little glass jars like this. Some of them have them in little plastic jars, the same shape and size, and it'll say right on it, vanilla. It's just a white vanilla powder. Now, I don't have that. What I have is these white plastic tubes. They almost look like, how can I describe these? They almost look like very tiny, they look like something a scientist would use. They're these little plastic vials. Yeah, and these have vanilla powder. These are sold in Greece, and they come in packages or little boxes. You can get packages of 30, 40. This is a package of 5. It's brought to me from Greece. You're going to say to me, Zoe, what are you telling us? Where are we going to find these? You got these in Greece. I need 3 of these vanilla tubes. So if you can't get to a Greek bakery to get one of those little jars that I just described, how much are you going to put in? Start with, I would say, half a teaspoon, and see when you actually eat the dessert if that's good enough for you. Again, you may find vanilla powder at regular supermarkets. If you can't find vanilla powder, just use vanilla extract. I would start with half a teaspoon. And again, when you make it, if you find that the vanilla taste is not enough, then the next time you make it, increase it to 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. If you have these tubes, then we need 3 tubes. If you don't, half a teaspoon of vanilla powder. So I'm just gonna add these 3 tubes directly, again, into my sugar and salt. So these, like I said, these are they're very hard to open. So I don't have nails because I make costume jewelry. And I can't have nails because then I bead and I thread and I crimp and I do a whole bunch of stuff. So I can't have nails. So I can't open this, so I have to use my teeth. So pardon me. So I just pulled off the little cap. It's a very tight fitting cap, and I pulled it off with my teeth. So I'm just going to pour the 1 vial of vanilla sugar, and I can't hear if I actually poured it. So I'm just going to tap it with one of my closed over the sugar to make sure it's done. So I'm just going to quickly do the other 2. Okay, second one done. And third one. Okay. Now, we're going to put this mixture aside. It's ready. And I need to get flour happening. So I'm going to need my scale again. We're grabbing a bowl. Again, same idea. We're putting it on the scale.
Hello.
Turning it on. She's greeting us.
It's ready.
She's telling us it's ready. Now, I don't want to just tip the bag over the flour just because it's not a lot that we're going to need. So I'm going to use my little, remember I mentioned I have a 1/4 cup measure. I'm just going to scoop out with my measuring cup and put it in the bowl. Okay.
47 grams.
Now, I know that scooping out of the bag, I know that 1 isn't enough, obviously. Probably about 5 or 6. So let's go 2.
94 grams.
3.
134 grams.
Okay, we're almost halfway there. We need 240 grams of all-purpose flour. 4.
178 grams.
5.
223 grams.
Okay, we're at the 223. We need 240. So now,
227 grams.
okay, she changed her mind. It's 227. So now I'm going to scoop out very little.
228 grams.
And I'm going to pour a little.
228 grams.
Did I get any? We'll see.
232
Okay, so we're at 232. So I probably need about a teaspoon now. So I'm actually going to toss the measuring cup. Forget that. And I'm just going to use my teaspoon now because we're really close now. So I'm just going to grab a little bit with a teaspoon. Put it in.
240 grams.
Okay, I'm actually lucky because I got exactly 240. That was just luck, seriously. It could have said 241.
242
There you go. She changed her mind. She said 242. In this particular dessert, 2 grams, not a big deal. Leave it. So we no longer need the spoon. We no longer need the flour. Put that aside. And I'm going to put the flour aside.
491 grams. Goodbye.
Now,
Hello.
oops, I just made a mistake. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I was quick on the finger.
Goodbye.
Okay. I'm putting just a regular salad plate on my scale. I need 25 grams of butter. Whoops. So I have a block of butter on a plate with plastic wrap. So I find, and here's a tip, that when you use butter, if you leave it in its original package, that sort of foil package, I find that after a while, mold grows on it. I don't know what, maybe because you're using a knife, you're cutting butter, so the metal, and then putting it in the foil package again to store it in the fridge if you don't use the whole block, somehow it grows mold. So what I do is when I use butter but I don't use the whole block, I put it on a salad plate and I put cling wrap, I close it really tightly, and it lasts much longer. So I'm just gonna open this up. And I don't remember if I turned on my scale, so I'm just gonna set my knife on the plate. And she said nothing, so I guess I didn't turn it on, or it turned off. So I'm gonna turn it on.
Hello. It's ready.
And I'm just putting the knife in place. My hand is on top of the knife, and I'm just slicing right through the block. Okay, and I just sliced off a thin slice, and I put it on the plate.
52 grams.
And she told me 52 grams, that's way too much. So I'm gonna pick it up. We need 25 grams. I'm gonna try to cut it in half,
5 grams.
which who knows what half is. Let's see if this is okay.
18 grams.
Okay, 18 grams, so a little more. So I'm just gonna add a piece. Okay, she wants to be lazy and not tell me, so I'm gonna add another piece.
23 grams.
Okay, we're at 23 grams. I'm gonna cut off another small piece, and I added it. Now, if she doesn't tell you, we're really close in the grams. So I'm gonna set my knife on the plate with the butter.
26 grams.
Okay, she actually decided that she wants to tell me now. It's 26, but I'm going to show you this anyways. If for some reason she didn't speak, I'm going to set my knife without touching the plate on the plate.
56 grams.
So she gave me a reading of 56 grams, but that's with my knife. I'm going to feel for the knife and take it off without touching the plate. And she tells me it's 26 grams. Again, this is a 1 gram difference from what we want. It's okay. I'm actually going to leave it. So we're going to set that aside.
293 grams.
And I'm just going to wipe my hands from the butter. Okay. And I'm just going to put the butter aside. Now I no longer need my scale, so I'm going to turn it off.
Goodbye.
I'm going to put it away. Okay. So we've got our 1,500 grams of milk ready. We've got our 360 grams of sugars ready. 240 grams of flour ready. We've got our 3 vanilla tubes. I explained that to you guys. We have our 25 grams of unsalted butter ready and a level teaspoon of salt ready. So now we have our eggs. I don't if you're not most people know how to crack eggs open. If you're a beginner, just in case you're a beginner, eggs, when you hold them in your hand, I'm sure everybody's held eggs in their hands. One side feels pointy and one side feels more rounded. So if you've got your fingers on the pointy side and the rounded side, basically you're holding your egg vertically. So you take both your eggs in your hands, you hold them vertically, but then you turn your one horizontally against the egg. And what you do, I'm just going to do it over the sink. You just give it, you try to center the eggs and you give it, one is horizontal, one is vertical. And you give it a tap, maybe 2 taps. You feel. So I've made a crack in the egg and it's a nice round crack. So what you do is over your bowl, you put your thumbs where you feel that crack, or in my case, it's a nice cracked circle. So I put my 2 thumbs, I squeeze in. Now you may feel the shell breaking. Don't panic. Turn the egg and pull it apart. Okay, so see, that's never happened to me, but I just got eggshells in my bowl and I heard them, so I dumped them out. So you pull the egg apart with your 2 hands and you try, and I think I got some eggshells in, but my cameraman will look at that later. And what you do is you try to pull your egg apart, but you have your hands underneath it trying to control that no eggshells fall in. I've never had that happen to me, maybe because I'm on camera all of a sudden. I'm trying to explain. So I'm just going to do the other 2 eggs. And I gave that one a better crack. And whoops, see, at least this one that I just cracked open, nothing fell in. If there's eggshells in here, it's probably from my first egg. So I'm just going to do now I'm left with 1 egg. So I don't have another egg to crack it. So I'm just going to tap it against the edge of my sink to give it the crack. And I've done that. And I got a nice opening here too. And there we go. Now I need cameraman to confirm I didn't get eggshells in there.
There's just one little piece.
Can you get it up?
Yeah.
So you can stick your fingers in there, which I don't want to do since I have sighted help right now. But if I didn't, I would actually stick my hands in there and make sure that there isn't one. So cameraman got it out. And you're going to give these eggs, I hope you guys know how to beat eggs. I've got a fork in my hand and I'm going to slightly beat my eggs. So you basically go back and forth with a sort of a rounded motion. So you're kind of back and forth, but you have your fork going sort of horizontally round. It's hard to explain, but I'd have to show somebody how to do that. Any sighted person can show you how to slightly beat eggs. It's not a big deal. Basically, you're trying to dissolve your egg yolks and your whites, right? You want it to be, you don't want whole egg yolks going into your custard. And you're going to say to me, how do you know? Well, you just beat for a few minutes, believe me. You can stick your fingers in it and feel it. It's no big deal. But my experience tells me that if I just kind of whip my fork around, stir it around, give it a few more beats. I just want them slightly beaten, so I'm sure it's fine. So we'll set that aside. Okay, so we're almost ready to start. Actually, I'll explain about the cookies later. Let's start. And for the topping, you're going to need 500 grams whipping cream. I'll show you guys that later. And you're going to need icing sugar to taste and cinnamon. When I show you that, I'll let you know. There's nothing. Cinnamon, you're going to pour as much as you want. Icing sugar, you're going to taste your whipping cream as you whip it so you can get your desired sweetness. I wouldn't make the whipped cream on top too sweet, only because your dessert's going to have a lot of sugar from the cookies and from the cream and so on and so forth. The only thing is 500 grams of whipping cream, and it should be cold. Okay, so I've got I am going to need my scale, but I'm going to need it later. Okay, I've got my pot, and, whoops. Actually, it's better this way, yeah. Okay. Now, I'm blind. I don't remember what this is. So I'm going to stick my finger. Okay, that's flour. I'm not going to put the flour in yet. But I'm going to put it as close to me as possible. Eggs. And the first thing to go in is your sugar, salt, and vanilla powder mixture right into the pot. Burner is off. There's nothing to worry about. Feel for your pot. Put your bowl over. Dump the whole thing in. And start stirring. You want to dissolve the sugar as much as possible. You're not going to dissolve it all because the heat isn't on, but I'm giving it a good stir. Okay, and I'm going to dump in the eggs that we beat right in, and just give it, you heard it fall, but with your fork, just kind of push anything that's left in the bowl. Okay, let's start stirring. Now, I'm going to turn on my heat to high. I don't want you guys to stop stirring. So, with one hand, I've brought the flour close to me. With one hand, I'm going to stir, and with the other hand, I'm going to start pouring the flour. But I want to give the sugar a little bit of time to dissolve. So, let's recap. Did I forget anything? I've got sugar, vanilla powder, salt, eggs, and milk. I've got 5 ingredients in here. My flour is 6. My butter, which is going to go in later, is 7. My cookies is 8. My cinnamon and my whipping cream, approximately 10 ingredients. 10, 11 ingredients. So it's pretty much getting there. Now, I'm going to pick up the flour with my left hand. Pot is still cold, so I can actually feel the pot. So I have it over the pot. With one hand, I'm going to be stirring, and I'm going to let flour drop in slowly. I'm not going to add it in all at once. So I've added it. I'm letting it drop, and then I'm lifting the bowl. And I can hear it dropping. So I've lifted the bowl now, and I'm just stirring away. Remember, you've got the heat going, so be careful. My right hand is stirring. My left hand is holding the bowl. I'm going to drop some more in. Whoop. Okay. And I'm stirring. You can pause for a second to hear your flour drop. But I wouldn't pause too long because then you're going to burn this. And because I poured a little bit more, I can feel the flour. So I'm just going to stir a little more vigorously because I want it to dissolve as much as possible. And I'm going to pour a little more. Okay, I actually didn't have to stop stirring. I heard it. And I'm going to pour a little more. Okay, and we just keep stirring. Please don't stop stirring. This is the hard part of it's a very simple dessert, but this is the hard part. Well, I let quite a bit drop now. So again, I'm going to go vigorous stirring. And make sure that you're moving your, I'm using a wooden spoon because this is a non-stick pot. So make sure you're going to your edges of your pot while stirring, and then towards the center, and then from the center outwards until you touch the walls of the pot. Okay, and I'm gonna let the last little bit drop, and we're done. Okay, so 240 grams flour, 360 sugar, 1 level teaspoon of salt, 3 eggs, 3 vanilla tubes, 1,500 grams of milk, all in the pot. 6 ingredients. When you think this is getting hot, and you think, now this is pretty, it's just a liquid. If I were to stop, which I'm not going to, but if I were just to, you can hear it. It's just a liquid. Even though the sugar and the flour is dissolving, this is just a liquid. You want this to thicken up. You're making a cream layer, a custard. So I'm pretty sure that my sugar is melted. So I'm just switching hands because I don't want to stop stirring. And I'm going to dump in the butter. And I had to stop for a second. And yeah, there's a pinch of butter in my plate. But remember, we were 1 gram over, so who cares? When I say a pinch, not even half a pinch. So I've added my butter. And because I feel that my sugar's pretty much dissolved, I'm going to turn my heat down to medium now. Because now is this tricky part. You want this to thicken up, and you can't stop stirring, and you don't want this to stick. When you guys are stirring, I want you to be scraping the bottom of the pot. If you do what I'm telling you, this will not burn. You're not going to get little black pieces. So I'm stirring, but I'm scraping to make sure that no flour or sugar is sticking to the bottom. And I'm stirring quite quickly. I wouldn't say that I'm going slow. And I'm touching the walls and going towards the center. And then from the center, going back outwards. And I'm scraping, and I'm waiting for this to get hot. When this gets thick, you're going to feel a difference. You're going to feel a difference while stirring. It's going to be harder to stir. Harder. Don't imagine that it's going to be harder like, you know, I don't know, you need a machine. No. But you can feel the difference. And also you're going to actually hear a difference. Right now, it feels like, it hears like I'm stirring liquid. And all I can hear is the wooden spoon against the bottom of the pot. And if I stop talking for a second, you guys will hear it. Listen. See? So now, if you feel, because you can feel if it's sticking. If you feel that it's starting to stick, just add more pressure to your wooden spoon and stir even a little bit, if you can, a little bit faster. The smell, I have to tell you, from the vanilla powder is scrumptious. You want to eat this right out of the pot. Now, remember I told you guys I do have a fan over me. Most sighted people use it. I don't, because I need to hear what's happening. I can feel it starting to thicken up. We're still a little bit away, but I can feel a little bit of a difference already. Right now, it gives you that sense of, I don't know, it reminds me, the smell reminds me of baby food, like baby food or pudding. It's got that beautiful vanilla smell. Now, already it's starting to thicken and it's starting to make a different noise. If I go really close to the edge of the pot, you can hear a whoosh sound as I'm stirring. As it gets thicker, that whoosh sound gets more intense. So watch. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but when I go close to the edge, it makes a whoosh sound. So it's starting to thicken up. Maybe the camera will be able to pick it up when it starts to really thicken up. You're going to say to me, how do you know how thick to get it? This will come with experience. You want it pudding style. So think of a pudding. That's how thick you want it, at least. This is going to, when it cools, it's going to thicken up even more. But you want a pudding consistency. A thick pudding consistency. Okay? Now, while I'm doing this, let me explain about the cookies. And if I see a difference, I'll let you guys know. I'm holding the pot with the handle with the left hand because I said these handles don't get hot. So because I'm stirring vigorously, the pot will move. So I'm trying to keep it in place with my left hand. I'm holding the pot in place. So the cookies, these are Greek cookies. They're imported from Greece. If you can get to a Greek bakery, there's no Greek bakery that doesn't sell these? Do you live in New York, California, Miami, Florida, wherever there's a Greek bakery, Toronto, Vancouver, whatever, Montreal, you will find these cookies. They're called, what else? Papadopoulou. So Papadopoulos, but in a feminine form. Papadopoulou. Trying to say that with an English accent. Papadopoulou. Papadopoulou. So it's spelled Papadopoulou. There's also another brand called, which might be easier for you guys, Alatini. So think of, I don't know, Aladdin, but with a T and an I at the end. So Alatini. Any one of these brands. So I just felt my pot move. So I just moved it a little bit. And it's getting thicker. So any one of these brands of cookies. So you see for how long I'm stirring, right? Any one of these brands of cookies will do. These are rectangular cookies. They're thin, not too thin, but they're not thick either. I will show you guys. And they're basically vanilla tasting cookies. I haven't found anything in the supermarkets that matches the taste. And I believe that the cookies is also what makes this dessert. So I would really recommend you go to a Greek bakery and ask for these cookies. I'll put them in the comments box, the name of the cookies, and if you just copy it down and go to a Greek bakery and say, I want these cookies, they'll give them to you. They're not very expensive at all. They kind of remind me of the arrowroot cookies, but the arrowroot cookies won't do because one, they're too thick, and two, they're oval shaped. And they kind of remind me of royal tea biscuits. And again, those won't do because they're round and huge. You need rectangle cookies. So you gotta find either a very similar cookie, but to actually get the authentic taste of this dessert, sorry guys, but this is something you're gonna have to get somebody to take you to a Greek bakery and get these cookies. Some really big high-end supermarkets may have them. I've never seen them at any of my supermarkets in Toronto, so I just get them from the Greek bakeries. And I'm lucky because in Toronto we have probably maybe 5 or 6 Greek bakeries, so we're good. So now this is getting really thick, let's see if you guys can hear the whooshing sound now that I was talking about. Do you hear it? When you bang it against the edges, it makes a little click. It's telling me that it's getting thick. And it's harder to stir. And it's like pudding. It's turned into pudding, but I want it a little bit thicker. And I'm stirring a little bit faster now because the thicker it gets, the easier it is for it to stick. And we're almost there. My hand is getting really tired. Feels nice and thick. And I'm just stopping for a second. And I'm feeling my spoon across. And I want it. It's still a little bit too liquefied. I want a little more thick. So you guys, maybe if you watch this video over and over again, I've got it on medium heat after we put the butter in. Maybe you can time it. I didn't actually time it for you guys, but you can time it. Maybe it's a 10-15 minute process. Okay. It's pretty good. It's hard for me to... Good. I think I'll leave it. I think it's okay. This is going to cool as it stands anyway. So I'm going to turn off the heat. And I didn't turn off the heat. I didn't turn off the burner the way I've showed you guys just because right now I can't stop stirring. I have it off the burner. I I'm able to do it. If you're really scared, pull off the pot. I'm still continuing, even though I've turned off the heat, I still have it on the heat and I'm still stirring. But you can pull it off the burner and then do what I showed you in previous episodes, how to turn off the heat. And I'm just doing this just to give it a little bit more thickness. So I've got the heat turned off and I'm just continuing to stir until I feel that I've got the desired, and I think I like it. So I'm gonna pull it off the heat and I'm just gonna set it on a cold burner. And I just wanna show you guys, like when I run my spoon across, I can feel that I'm getting resistance. So if you feel that resistance, you're pretty much there. And if I grab some, does it fall off the spoon? It does, but it takes a while for it to do it. It falls off slowly. So it's nice and thick, like pudding. Now, we can't handle this yet because it's too hot. So while that's cooling down a little bit, I'm just going to grab the pan I'm going to use. Whoops, sorry. Okay, just some plates. I'm just getting some plates out of the way. Okay. So now, I've got all we have in front of us is cookies and a pot. And I have a measuring tape because I want to measure this. I got this pan from Greece. It's a black, feels like a metal pan, but it's black. It feels like something you would use to, it's like a baking pan for the oven. I can actually measure this out for you guys. So I've bought a tape measure off one of the blind websites. You can get them anywhere. It's got little metal, it feels like little metal rings, raised rings. And wherever that ring is, it's telling you that's 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. One side, I think, is centimeters, and the other side is inches. Now you're going to tell me which side is which. The centimeters would be the smaller side, but I'm going to measure in inches for you guys. I'm actually going to turn this upside down because I want you to get an idea. We're going to get an approximate reading. We're not going to get an exact reading. So I'm going to put the one where I feel a ring all the way at the edge of my left-hand corner of the bottom of the pan. I've turned it upside down. And I'm going across. Now, how are you going to know that you're going in a straight line? Well, I'm using the pan as my guide. I'm pretty much at the edge of the pan. Now, this is an approximate reading. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 inches. So I'm holding it to where I measured and then I'm going back to the beginning and it's 12 inches. So it could be a 13 inch. I'm not measuring exact. I want to give you guys an approximate. Now I'm going to go to the top right corner. I'm going to go vertically at the edge of the pan. 1 ring on one corner and 1 ring on the other corner. And I'm going to let go of my left hand and I'm holding the ring where I finished off measuring with my right hand, and I'm going to measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a 9 by 13 inch pan, which is sold in Canada, but it's a deep pan. I do have 9 by 13 inch pans that I bought from Walmart or whatever, but they're not as deep as this. So this is probably, I would say, about 2 inches, maybe even a little more. Try to use a pan that you feel is a little deep. So I'm just going to put the measuring tape aside. And here's the cookies I was talking about. You need approximately 2.5 packages. So the cookies, and the cameraman's going to tell me if I'm holding them the right way.
This way. This way.
Right. So these are, it feels like it's a plastic, just They're not in a box. They're in a hard plastic wrapper type. It's clear because you can see the cookies from what I remember. But of course it's got writing on it and it's got the brand name on it across, you know, Papadopoulou or whatever. And these are just rectangle cookies. I have an open package already. So I'm just gonna, never mind what I just did. I just used my teeth to open the package further. So here's a cookie. Whoops, and I just dropped some. It's a rectangle cookie that has, it feels like it has ridges around. It's not they're not smooth edges. They almost feel like little balls, but they're not. It's a design. And they've got, if you feel the cookie, it's got like a texture. It's got some sort of a design on it. So these are just plain cookies. They're not even maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe. So they're not very thick at all. So I'm just going to grab the cookies and I'm going to place them at the bottom of the pot, or the pan. Just all. So I'm placing them vertically. So with the long side. So I've got 3 going up and then I'm going to go next to it and another 3. Should have grabbed the scissors. Okay. So now I've got 2 rows of 3 cookies next to each other. So we're just going to go all the way across the whole pan. Whoops. I've grabbed a whole bunch in my hands now. And I'm just going to go quicker. So I'm placing next row of 3. And I'm placing them, like I said, with the short side towards me. 3. Don't worry if you're not getting them exactly. You're going to put them in place. So 2 and 3. And 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, and 3. Now, I've pretty much gone across my whole pan. At the end of the pan, there's about 1/4 of an inch that's not covered. That's not worth covering. I can stick my finger next to the cookie, but I can't do anything about that. Don't even worry about this. These cookies, when the cream goes on the cookies, they're going to partially melt and it's going to become like a cake layer. But at the top of the pan, I put 3 cookies vertically. The top of the pan is quite empty. So I'm going to try to put horizontal cookies. No, it's not going to fit. So I need to break these cookies. So I'm going to break it approximately in half. It's a guess, guys. Don't worry. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to put the halves right on top of the vertical cookies. But now I'm putting the halves, yeah. You have to play with this. You'll figure it out. When you break it in half, now you're putting the long side towards you. So I'm just putting them on top to kind of fill. And you might get a little space that you can't cover. Like when I say little, I seriously mean little. Like not even half of your finger should be empty. So I just cut one that I felt I need one more piece and I felt that too much space was left. So I'm just going to cut another one. And don't worry, none of these will go to waste. You can eat them. Okay. So we've got a little tiny, tiny, tiny space around the corners. Please don't worry about it. So now, for right now, we're going to put the cookies aside. We've done 1 layer of cookies. We're going to put the cookies aside. And because I'm a perfectionist and because I'm blind, I need to put half this hot cream mixture on my cookies. Well, sorry, how do I know what's half? I don't know. So I'm going to actually I'm going to measure it. So here's our scale again. And I've got a stainless steel bowl. And I'm going to place it on my on my scale. And this is still pretty hot, so be careful. I'm going to turn on the scale.
Hello. It's ready.
Okay, I'm going to hold the pot over my, and I can touch the pot. I can touch this.
1 gram.
That's okay. She's telling me it's 1 gram because I'm touching the bowl to make sure that I'm over it. She went back to 0, so I'm going to tip the pot and let my pudding drop into it. And you can already tell the difference that it's much thinner, or much thicker. So I'm just wiping.
1,600.
I'm wiping with my wooden spoon and I'm pushing it into the pot. And I'm going to wait for her to tell me where I'm at.
1,890
Okay.
grams.
And I'm going to push more in.
1,948 grams.
I can tell you guys that this is a little tiring. My arm is tired from holding the pot. And I'm just wiping more. And my beloved cameraman is helping.
1,971 grams. 1,977
Now.
grams.
Okay, hold on.
2,028
This is what I was going to tell you guys. Your cream mixture should be more than 2,000 grams. I know there's still some left in here. So what I'm going to do, and we said blind people use their hands. I'm just going to wipe whatever's off my spoon with my finger. And throw it in. Little hot. I can only get so much off the spoon, but I got some off.
2,036 grams.
Okay, and I'm going to put that. And now I'm actually going to use my hand. Now, if your pot is too hot, well then let the rest go. But I know I can do it. So I'm just going to toss a whole bunch in with my fingers. So I'm just wiping whatever's left in the pot. And it's not that hot. I can handle it. I'm not burning. You don't hear me saying ouch, so we're good.
2,067 grams.
And I'm just tossing it off my fingers.
79 grams.
Now I can feel that there's
2,081 grams.
2,100 would be good. So if I get to that, I'm going to actually stop.
2,092 grams.
So 8 grams. So I'm just wiping whatever else I can with my hand, and the pot's not even hot. Okay. So I'm at 293, but there's a whole bunch on my hand. I'm going to try to throw it into the bowl off my hand. I just want to get it to 2,100. And I'll tell you guys why.
1,100 grams.
All right, we're good. 2,100. I'd love to just... There's a lot of pudding on my hands. And I would love to just lick it up, but one of you guys might get angry and say, what is she doing? No, no, no. I need to get it off with water. So I'm not going to stick it in my mouth. I'm going to let it go down the drain. Okay. Alrighty. Now give me that. Where? Okay. So we've got 2,100 on here. What's half of 2,100? 1,050. So I've got my scale with my bowl and cream on it. I'm not going to let it shut off. And I've got my layer of cookies beside me. So I've got the pan beside. I'm taking a metal big ladle and I'm going to scoop out cream and let it drip a little so we don't get it all over the place. And I'm going to just let it drop over my cookies. And I'm just going to tap a little.
1,880 grams.
And again, we want to get this down to 1,050 now. Whoops. See? A little bit just dropped off. Big deal.
29 grams.
And you want to grab me a spoon?
Yeah.
So you guys don't complain that I'm using my fingers all the time. I'm just with a teaspoon, I'm helping it fall onto the cookies with a ladle. With a teaspoon, I'm just pushing the cream off the ladle. Okay, just set that aside. And scoop out again. You can actually hear it dropping. You can hear that plop sound while I'm putting it over the cookies. And again. Obviously, you guys don't know where on the cookies you're dropping it, so just try to move around your pan. Like I right now went towards the right top corner and I let my cream drop in there.
1,322 grams.
Okay, we're at 1,322, so I'm just going to grab another whole bunch. And now I'm going to go to the left bottom corner.
1,136 grams.
And I'm going to let that drop at close to the left bottom corner.
1,144 grams.
Now we're pretty close to where we want to be. This is a pretty much, this is as good as we can get to make our layers even. Okay, a little bit more, so I'm not going to scoop out too much now.
1,045 grams.
All right, she just said 1,045. Am I going to get picky about 5 grams? No, I'm not. I'd like to, because I'm such a perfectionist, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to the teaspoon that I'm helping it move off the ladle. Now, you don't care if your scale closes because you've removed your 1,000, in this case, 1,055. Doesn't matter. So I'm just going to, whatever's on the ladle, I'm just going to try to push it onto the cookies with my finger. And that's pretty good enough. Okay. Now this is warm. If you go really deep into it, it's hot. We can turn off the scale now. So, okay. And just, again, I'm not going to lick my fingers. So whatever was left on my fingers is done. Okay. Now, don't worry if you got a little bit of cream at the edges. Like, we'll take your teaspoon and with the bottom part of the teaspoon, lightly swoosh your cream across. Now, I felt a cookie move, and I checked and it did move. That's fine. I just put it back into place. So you want to be a little more careful while you're spreading here because your cookies may move, which if they do, it's not a tremendous big deal. Nobody's going to check the bottom of your cake to make sure that, your cookies are in place. If you add a little bit more pressure, they move a little bit. So I'm going to check because one of mine moved a lot. And I'm just going to put it back into place with my fingers. What do I always say? No big deal. So what does that mean? You got a little cream at the under your cookie? So what? It'll be just that much more delicious when it all... See? And another one moved. So I'm just putting it in place with my fingers. And the funny thing is that most of the time when I make this, my cookies don't move. But now it wants to be difficult. Now I have a corner that's giving me a hard time. It's giving me a hard time getting it in. I'm feeling with my fingers to make sure that I'm spreading it. And I can feel that one of my corners is a little empty. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing cream into that corner. And I'm just going to go with my spoon up and down and vertical. I'm trying to get it as even as possible. Guys, as blind people, we ain't going to get the perfect. Even though what did I say? I'm a perfectionist. At this point, you can also just apply a little bit of pressure. You are going to lose a little bit of cream. But you can apply with pressure, light pressure, and spread it with your fingers as well. Which I'm doing to make sure that I get a better even layer. And I do feel that my right side has a little bit more, so I'm just pushing it as much as I can. Yeah, okay, just get another one. So I'm just going to use my hand and just make sure that all my cookies are covered. And you know what? They are. So if any of your cookies have turned, I felt for mine and I turned them the right way. But if they have turned, please don't worry about it. You've got your layer of cream pretty much layered. Is it perfect? Probably not. I don't know. Who cares? You'll see that when people swoon over your dessert, they're going to be so amazed at the taste that they're really not going to pay attention that maybe one of your cookies, I don't think anybody will even notice that one of your cookies has turned over. So now we've got the cream, so now we have to put cookies on top again. And this is, I find it a little bit easier now to put the second layer on. And before I start putting the second layer on, I'm going to open up one of the packages because our first package is running out. So I'm just gonna, and these are a little difficult to open up. I always have a hard time with them. They have one of these things you can pull that opens them up, but I don't always find it. In this case, I actually did find it today. So this is good. And we're open, and I'm just gonna cut this so I don't use my teeth like I did before, and you guys all start complaining that I'm using my teeth. Okay. So I'm gonna take cookies in my hand, and I'm gonna go the same way I did before, vertically. You want your cookies starting at the left bottom corner. You're gonna place a cookie right on the cream, and then you're gonna place another one on top of it. We're going vertically with the short end towards you. So I'm gonna get 3 cookies. I'm just putting them gently on the cream, and I'm on the second row. I'm putting one next, and one on top of that one next to the first row, and then again, and I'm on the third row, now I have a broken cookie, so I'm not going to use that one. I'll use it for when I'm breaking my cookies. So I've grabbed a whole bunch of cookies, and I actually can place them now on the cookies that I've already put, so it'll be easier for me to, instead of reaching for them all the time. So I'm on my third row, and I'm going, that's my second cookie and my third cookie. You want the edges all touching. If it's not exact, please don't worry. And you've got your, I'm on my fourth row. And there we go. And there we go. And fifth row, I think. I may have lost count. Fifth row. And do I have any more? I don't. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And so is that 5 rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 rows. I need a few more. And I'm on my 6th row. Now, I find that maybe on the 6th row, I might have a little bit, I'm going to test it to see if it fits horizontally now. And it doesn't, unfortunately. I was hoping that it would fit because it was leaving a little bit of a space, but that's fine. We'll take care of that. Don't worry. So this is 6th row. And you might get a little cream come through because the cookies move. Don't worry. No, nobody's going to know. Okay, so I've got my rows done, and I'm just making sure that they're in place. And these ones aren't going to move as much as the bottom ones did, because the cream is holding them in place for the most part. I did it. Okay, I've got cream all over my hands. I'm going to break cookies for the top. See if that's big. That's could have been a little bigger. So I'm just adding half cookies at the top, and I'm actually going to try to break them a little bit bigger because I'm leaving a little bit too much of a space. Let's see if that's okay. Yeah, that's good. That's better. I'm actually going to use the cookie I just cut. I'm going to use the piece that I didn't use. I'm going to use it as a guide and break my next cookie at the same spot. Yes. Yes. Much better. We're leaving very little space at the top. So I'm going to use my broken piece of cookie that I had left in my hand to use as a guide where to cut my next cookie. Much better. Now these little pieces that are left, eat them. They're delicious. And I'm using my guide again, and I'm cutting my cookie. Okay. Now, I have a spot that you can't fit half a cookie there or anything like that. So I'm just going to, these little pieces, I'm going to use those to just cover that spot. So I just cut a little piece and I stuck it there. I'm going to feel with my hands and see if I can, see, here's another little spot. So go around your edges now and see if there's any spots that are big, which I'm finding bigger spots. So I'm just adding little tiny pieces of cookie right into the edges. So I'm just using my broken pieces of cookie. Oops. Now I can feel that I have more cream on my right side, but that's okay. We'll serve our guests on the right side and eat the ones on the left. Yeah, okay, good enough. And good enough. Good enough. You're not going to get perfection. And it doesn't matter because it's not going to show. I'm just using the palms of my hands and I'm pushing the cookies slightly, very light pressure. I just want them to stick to the cream as much as possible. Okay, just going to give my hands a rinse. You're going to say, why? You're just going to get cream all over them again. Yes, I am. Because I'm going to, now the rest of the cream, I can just put the bowl over and start pushing the cream while I'm moving the bowl so I can get cream everywhere. And I'm just using the ladle to push it in. And what are we going to do at the end? We're going to use our hands. Ha, ha, ha. So this is our second layer of cream. I'm just going to push whatever's off my ladle. If you, when you're doing this with your fingers, if you feel, pardon me, if you feel that there's little bits, like your cream is not very smooth, don't worry about it. It's just the pudding. And they'll dissolve themselves when this cools in the fridge. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. I don't know. It just happens. How did I know that? Well, I discovered it. I discovered it when once I had little bits of pudding. I guess maybe the flour didn't dissolve itself properly or whatever. And I was panicked and I was thinking, oh my God, it went wrong. It went wrong. Well, when I served it, nobody could taste those little bits. They were gone. So I guess while it cooled, so I've gotten whatever I can off the ladle. And I'm just going to grab the bowl now and push whatever's left in the bowl onto here. Nobody was able to taste the little, the cream that it wasn't. So here's a spot. So here's one. I just grabbed, as I was pushing, I don't know if you guys can see it because I've got cream all over my hands, but there's an actual chunk. It feels like a chunk. Now, should I let that go to waste? I could throw that out, but I could just squeeze it and dissolve it in my hands. And just let it drop. So that's a little piece of flour that for whatever reason didn't dissolve. Nobody's going to notice it. I'm telling you from experience. I tasted it and I was in shock because I was like, where did those pieces go? I don't understand. Well, they were gone. So I'm just cleaning up the bowl as much as possible with my hands. Remember what I told you guys at the beginning? Blind people, use your smell, your touch, and anything possible. And that's about all I can get out. I'm sure that if I had a kid around here now, they would be in heaven. I could just give them the bowl and they can just lick all this pudding, stuff it in their mouths. And my husband would be happy. My cameraman would be happy. I know he would. But I can't give it to him right now because he's holding the camera. So I'm just going to set that aside. It's good enough for now. Get whatever I can off my fingers. Okay. And now we need to smooth out this layer of cream. So I'm just gonna grab a spoon, and this time I'm gonna grab a tablespoon, just because it's a little bigger, it'll be a little bit easier. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm applying a little touch of pressure, and I'm spreading out. I'm telling you guys that this layer is easier to spread because the cookies are pretty much in place. And these ones aren't gonna move that easy. Don't apply tremendous pressure because they might move. But just the slight pressure to spread out the cream, they're not going to move because they're stuck to the cream, the cream layer at the bottom. So I'm just going to... Now, again, I feel more cream on my right than I do on my left. So I'm pushing cream to the left. I'm tilting the spoon a little bit and pushing. And we might actually, since I made the mistake and I have more cream on my left, and I'm just going up and down vertically, horizontally, trying to spread it. Because I feel like I have more cream on the right side of my pan, it's okay to add a little more on your left just to even out the pieces. So now I'm going to turn my pan because I need to even it out more. So I'm just going to, and again, I'm going back and forth. And now I'm going to feel with my finger. So as I turned the pan, my right corner is empty. Let's feel the left. The right, top right and bottom right, they're a little empty. Where the other corners feel better. So I'm just going to grab some from the middle with my hands. I'm guiding it and I'm pushing toward the corner. And I've got a quite nice piece here. And now I'm going to push to the other corner, the one that we said was empty. But I need to turn my pan because I can't do it this way. Okay. I'm just going to turn my pan again. And I'm feeling with my hand. Now I'm going around the edges with my spoon. Going around the edges and I'm smoothing it out as much as possible. Now, if you've got a little more in the center, well, those people are going to be luckier. Who cares? Okay. I've done what I think I can do with my spoon, so I'm just going to press down slightly with the palms of my hands to even it out even more. So I'm just very lightly pressing. And if I feel an empty spot, I'm pushing a little bit of cream. And now I'm going to use both hands. And what I'm doing now is I'm in the center and I'm just slightly giving pressure so I can get some going to the edges. And that's good enough because we're going to waste too much pudding. Okay. So now we've got 2 layers of cookies and 2 layers of cream. So what's next? Our final layer and we're done. So again, same deal. Grab your cookies and start placing them the way I described before. Your short end towards you. You start at the bottom left-hand corner and you go up vertically. 2 and 3. So we're just going to go quickly across. And second row, 1, 2. And I'm just feeling where I'm holding the cookie in my hand a little bit on a slant, and I'm feeling where the other cookie ends, and I'm feeling the row next to it, and I'm just letting it, I'm just putting it into place. And again, and we were on the 3rd row, 2nd cookie. Now, whoops, 3rd cookie, 4th row. Grab 3 cookies in my hands. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm on my 5th row, but I've only got 1 cookie. So I need to open up the next package. So you need about 2.5 of these packages. I don't know how many grams they are, and I don't think the cameraman would be able to see them right now. So, because he's taping. And see, when I said before, there's this little section that you can pull to open this. And I'm trying to feel for it. Now, my hands are a little bit wet, so maybe that's why I can't feel it. But I can't feel it, so I'm just gonna use my scissors to kind of pierce this. Maybe later on, I don't have any more of these cookies. This is my last package, so maybe later on when I do buy them, I could come back and put it in the comment section of what grams they are. But again, it's not a big deal because these only come in one size. So, okay, I've grabbed a whole bunch in my hands. I'm just placing them on the cookies that I've already used so they can be next to me. And I'm going to continue. It doesn't really matter about the grams of the cookies because these only come in one size package. You can't get, at least in Canada, you can't get them bigger sizes. I don't even know if in Greece they sell them in bigger sizes. I've never seen them. Okay, so we're almost to the end of our, let's see if this one fits horizontally. Almost, but not quite. So we're on our last, whoops. I just dropped some cookies on the counter. It's no big deal. As long as they didn't fall on the floor, we can still eat them. And that's it. So now we're going to do our halves again. Let's see if that's too big. Yeah, that's a little too big. Let's see now. Good enough. A little too small, but that's okay. So, let's see if this will work. Again, I need it just a little bigger. So let's try again. So I'm just cutting them, and for what's left at the top of my cookies, I'd like them a little bigger, but that's okay. Again, that's not going to show, guys. Nobody's going to notice that. See this one. Okay. That one's better. Out of all my cookies, that one's better. And this one didn't cut good, so forget it. It doesn't matter if these are straight. Please don't be concerned. If you feel like you're not cutting your cookies in a straight line, don't worry. So I'm just trying to fit. So I've got them all in. I'm going to apply some pressure. Again, because we want these to stick to the cream. And I'm just going to add my little tiny pieces. Just at the edges, wherever I feel like there's just way too much cream exposed. So I'm just grabbing these pieces that I've already cut up. These little leftover pieces that we would probably just stick in our mouths. And I'm just going to add them to wherever I think I can. And right now, for sighted people, this might actually look a little messy. And you guys might be more perfectionists than I am because you can see. That's fine. You want to do it your way, do it your way. I just want as much of the cream covered as possible. It will never be 100%. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm actually going to just put another little piece on top of one of them because a lot of cream came out. So I just added a couple little tiny pieces on top of one of my cookies at the edges. It's okay. So just press the sides in too that I just added. And believe me, you can probably see that there's some cream has gone through the cookies. Again, it's not going to show when you cut the dessert. This layer of cookies is all going to become sort of one layer, like a cake. Now, at this point, I would take a very damp, very, very damp. So I'm just going to put it under my tap. I just opened the tap. I'm squeezing out the water. I just wanted a little. And I'm just going to go around the edges with a paper towel. I'm just wiping up whatever. You might not be able to get it all off. It doesn't matter. But as much as you can, just wipe up whatever's on the edges of your pan. So my pan is rimmed. So I'm just wiping off the rim. Okay. And I'll continue doing that once we're off camera. So what I want to tell you guys now is that you need to let this cool down. And then you need to put plastic wrap on it and put it in the fridge. This is a great make-ahead dessert. You should not eat this the day you make it. This needs to cool down for at least, 2-3 hours. When you lift up the pan in your hands, I want you to feel the bottom. With the palm of your hand, you're going to feel the bottom. This feels quite hot under here. It's not hot that I'm going, ouch. It's obviously, look how long I have my hand at the bottom of the pan. It's hot, but it's not burning. So 2 hours, you can put it on a wire rack or something like that to that effect. You can just leave it on your counter. You want about 2 hours at least for it to cool down completely. Then I want you to put plastic wrap and put it in the fridge. I want this to chill completely, so even overnight. Or you want to chill it for 4 or 5 hours, and then we're just going to make the whipped cream, and we're going to put the whipped cream on top, and I'll show you guys that. We'll put the whipped cream on top, add the cinnamon, and believe me, people, that when you try this, you will thank me. So for right now, I'm going to let this dessert cool, and I'm going to clean up and take a break, and when it's time to do the whipping cream, I will finish off the dessert. I'm not going to cut it for you guys because I'm going to send this off to my cousin's house so they can enjoy it. But yeah, it's a scrumptious, refreshing, creamy, vanilla-y, that's not even a word, but that's okay, dessert. You guys will love it, trust me. See you in a few hours, or actually, I will probably, because it's late afternoon on a Saturday, I'm not even going to do the whipped cream today. I'm going to let this cool down for a couple of hours. I'm going to put the plastic wrap, put it in the fridge. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to do the whipped cream, add it, put plastic wrap on top, and send that off to my cousin. So see you guys tomorrow. Hi, everybody. Good morning. We're back to finish off our scrumptious dessert. Zoe's scrumptious dessert. That's what I call it. We left our dessert overnight in the fridge. It's nice and cold. Before we start the whipped cream, I just want to mention something. So I've made this dessert, like I said, this is probably my 6th time. The first 2-3 times that I made it, it turned out fantastic. The last time I made it, not this time that I'm showing you guys, the last time that I made it, I ended up getting some lumps in my custard. And I think I mentioned this yesterday, and I was really upset, and I was ready to throw out the dessert, and I couldn't understand what went wrong. My family said, we love this dessert, we still want to eat it, lumps or no lumps. Somehow in the fridge, the lumps disappeared. I'm absolutely positive there was lumps. I even showed it to my family members. And the lumps, really, they did disappear. I don't know how. I don't know why. I'm not that advanced to explain to you guys, scientifically why these lumps disappeared. Well, yesterday when I made the dessert, I got lumps in my custard again. So I was very upset last night, and I sat thinking, this is the 6th time I made it, and the last 2 times I got lumps in my custard, which is very strange. So I sat thinking about why this happened. The only thing I can think of is the first 3 or 4 times that I made it, I took my nonstick pot, I weighed on my scale, and I added into my pot my 360 grams of white sugar. Then I added my salt, my 1 level teaspoon of salt. Then I added my 3 tubes of vanilla. Then I added my 240 grams of flour. Then I beat my eggs in a bowl and I measured out my milk in a bowl. And I had my butter measured out on a plate. So I put it on the heat, added the milk. So all my ingredients were in my pot. The sugar, the vanilla, the flour, and the salt. I added the milk and I had the eggs next to me. I added the milk and I started to stir. And I stirred a few times to dissolve the mountain of ingredients. And then I added my eggs and I continued to stir. And when I felt that the sugar and the flour had dissolved, I added the butter in. And then I turned it down to medium and continued on with the recipe as I showed you guys yesterday. So I did a little different yesterday so I can show you guys, you know, how I'm measuring out my ingredients and all that. I'm thinking that this might be the reason I got the lumps. If you want, when you make it, maybe choose these instructions that I'm giving you today. Add all your dry ingredients into your pot and then your liquids and start stirring right away. So this is the only comment I want to make. I don't know if the lumps have disappeared in the custard. I left it in the fridge all night. I won't know until my cousin's family cuts it and reports back if they like the dessert and so on and so forth. If it was up to my family, we would have liked it anyways because we love this dessert. So anyhow, we're ready to do our whipped cream. I've pulled out the dessert I'll show you in a little while. I've pulled it out of the fridge. It's got cling wrap on top. Chefs say that your beaters of your, we're going to use a handheld mixer because there's no point pulling out my, I have a very tiny kitchen. There's no point in me pulling out my stand mixer from a cupboard where I have it. It's a heavy thing. And pulling it out and putting it on the counter just to whip cream. There's no point in doing that. I'm going to do it handheld. They say that your beaters and your bowl should be cold. I'm not doubting any chef in the world who says that. I don't do that. The one thing I do agree is that your whipping cream, I don't even have it out. Right now on my counter, my ingredients are ready to go. Except for my whipping cream. Whipping cream is not going to come out of the fridge until I'm ready to start beating. Whipping cream should be as cold as possible. You want to get a really thick, nice whipped cream. And the sugar is really to taste. We're only using 500 ml of whipping cream. You can use a little bit more if you want, if you really love whipping cream. I wouldn't recommend less than 500 gram, the 500 ml container. More is good. Less is not good. So it's really to taste. And you'll see me as I'm mixing it up. I'm going to throw in, and I'm letting you guys know now because the mixer might be a little bit loud. I'm going to try to yell as I'm speaking because I want to do it right in front of you guys. I could have just poured the mixture in and started to beat and say, we'll be back in a few minutes. And showed you guys that maybe I put in a tablespoon of sugar and then showed you the finished product. I actually want to do this in front of you because it's something so easy to do and something that really you have to go by taste and by texture. So I have in a bowl, just a bowl of, I've just poured icing sugar and I have a tablespoon in the bowl. And I'm going to have this next to my bowl where I'm going to beat my cream. Now, if you have another person around, sighted or blind, it doesn't matter, and they can help you because you can't stop beating when you're making whipping cream. You can only stop sort of at the end where it's thickening up. At that point, you can kind of stop. At the beginning, until it starts to thicken, you can't stop. So one hand has to be on the mixer and the other hand has to be pouring in sugar. So if you have somebody who can sprinkle your sugar in while you're beating, that's great. Right now, I'm going to do it on my own. That's why I poured icing sugar into a bowl. It doesn't matter how much. I'm going to do 2 heaping tablespoons of sugar. And when it starts to thicken and I can stop the mixer, then at that point, I'm going to taste and see if it needs more sugar. So I want to show you guys, first of all, the mixer. I'm just using a regular handheld mixer. As you feel your mixer, you're going to hold your mixer from the handle, and you've got your buttons on beyond your hand. You don't want them at the bottom of your palm. You want them at the top. So outwards from you. Now, that's, if you lift the mixer, you got a flat side. Feels like an, maybe like an iron where you iron your clothes. It's a flat side. At the top, if you feel with your fingers, you'll find two holes. One is a little bit bigger, one is a little bit smaller. Please don't plug this in before you attach your beaters. Accidents can happen. I actually have a sighted friend who every time she would try to put her beaters in, her mixer would start working, and she almost lost her fingers. So we don't want any accidents. So the beaters, these are the beaters for this mixer. They're a little bit different. One has the feeling of it. They have these little bumps, but one has an extra round ring at the bottom. I can never remember which one goes where. So what I do is I find the hole and I just try to insert one of the beaters. I used my finger. I found the hole. I've inserted the beater and I'm going to twist. I heard a snap, which means the beater is in. Does that mean you're okay? Well, not all the time, because if I put the next beater in, okay, I'm lucky now. Both beaters snapped in place. I'm lucky because I did it the right way. I'm just going to, if I had done it the wrong way, I'm just pulling out the beaters again. I'm going to put, now that I know which beater goes where, I'm going to put the beater with the ring in the small hole. I can get it in. The snap is not very loud, so that would tell me that it's wrong. But if I try to put the other beater in the big hole, it won't snap into place. It won't snap into place. So you know you've got your beaters wrong. So I'm just going to switch them again and put them in the correct way. Okay, we got a snap. And there we go. Now, don't hold the mixer close to the beaters. Even set it down and plug it in. So I'm just reaching for my plug, which I know where it is. Okay, and I've plugged it in. Now, before I start the mixer, I want to tell you that I actually don't remember how many settings this has. Your beating consistency when you're beating whipped cream should be constant. Meaning, if you're on level 3, you should stay on level 3 from beginning to end. Level 1 is too slow. It won't work. So let's say, for example, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Mine has about 4 levels. I'm going to do it on... Okay. So I just confirmed that mine has 5 levels. I'm going to do it on level 3. So that's the medium speed. I'm going to talk. I'm going to try to talk as loud as possible so you guys can hear me over the mixer. So we're ready to go. We've got a clean bowl. I've got some clean regular teaspoons on the side for tasting, because you don't want to use 1 spoon, dip it in the cream, taste it, put it down, beat again, then put the same spoon in. You don't want to do that because people don't like that. She put it in her mouth and now she's putting it back in the whipping cream. And since I'm actually doing this for another household and not my own family, I've got 3 spoons on the side just for me to taste. And I've got my icing sugar. So we're ready to go in our clean bowl. Beaters are ready, electric mixer's ready, sugar's beside us. We're going to grab the whipping cream now out of the fridge. And it won't take long. So this has been in the fridge. I bought it yesterday morning. It's been in the fridge. It's very cold. So I'm just opening it up. I'm lucky this is one of the creams that you don't have to, it's just got a little round sort of thing you have to pull out to open it. And I'm just going to pour it right into the bowl. I felt for the bowl and I'm on top of the bowl, so I'm just pouring it in. How do you know you poured it all in? Well, you can't hear any more dripping. So that means I've poured it all in. And if I shake it, there's nothing in there. Alrighty, so I'm going to put my mixer on level 3 and I'm going to beat for a little while for it to get all frothy. And then I'm going to start adding my sugar. I'm going to try to talk loud. So let's go to level 3. 1, 2, so I'm inserting the beaters right into the bowl and I'm moving around the bowl with my left hand. And I'm just, with my left hand, I'm holding the mixer and with my right hand I'm turning the bowl. But I'm also moving the mixer around. Now I'm going to start adding sugar without stopping the mixer. So it doesn't matter if you stop moving your mixer, just keep it in the bowl working. So I'm just going to reach for my tablespoon and I'm going to grab some sugar and I move the mixer to the left of the bowl and I've got my tablespoon of icing sugar over the right side of the bowl and I'm going to let it drop in. And I'm going to move the bowl slowly now because the sugar might fly around. Don't worry about it if it doesn't. We're wearing an apron. So I'm just moving the bowl slowly. I'm not moving the mixer, I'm moving the bowl. I'm just turning the bowl slowly. Okay, now I'm going to start moving the mixer around again. Now if I had a proper microphone, you could probably hear me better over the mixer. But this is a real kitchen. We don't have Hollywood-style microphones. So this sugar doesn't take long to dissolve. So I'm going to add in another tablespoon. The same way I told you guys before. So I moved my mixer to the left, added my sugar, and now I'm moving my bowl slowly. And it does splatter a little bit. It's not, here I go again, it's not a big deal. This is what aprons are for. Now, because of my experience, I can do this. I wouldn't recommend it to a novice cook. If I move my mixer without stopping it to the left side of the bowl, and with my fingers I hold the right side of the bowl, and I can just go down the edge and dip my finger in the between. And it's not as thick as I would like. I wouldn't recommend for somebody who's doing this for the first time to do that. But for somebody who's experienced, you're not going to get your hands caught in the mixer if you do it the way I just did. Move your mixer all the way to the left of the bowl, hold the bowl in place with your fingers, and dip your finger in. And it's getting there, but it's still not thick like whipped cream. Now, to sighted people, it might seem like there's some cream on the edges of the bowl that isn't getting beaten. And it might seem like the cream in the center of the bowl is getting whipped. We will take care of that later. I will show you. This probably will take about 5 minutes from end to finish. So I'm just going to test it out again. And it's starting to thicken up. Now I've stopped the mixer because we're more than halfway there. And it's okay, it's safe to do so. So, I'm going to take a spoon because right now I want to taste it from sugar. Is there enough sugar in this? So I'm just going to grab a little bit. It's getting nice and thick. So if I hold the teaspoon and it doesn't fall automatically. It does, but not automatically. It doesn't fall off like liquid. And when it fell, I'll do it again, you can actually hear a blob falling. So listen. See that? It went tuck, tuck. So I'm just going to now, I don't want the whipped cream too sweet because the dessert has a lot of sugar in it with the cookies as well. But I think it needs a touch more. So I'm actually just going to grab some, on the tablespoon, I'm scooped out of my plate some icing sugar. And I'm just going to run my finger across and get rid of most of it. I just want a little bit more. Maybe that's a little bit too little. So I'm just doing a level teaspoon, but a really level teaspoon. I think that's good enough. And we'll taste it again to make sure. So now I'm just going to drop it in with the mixer off. Okay? And I'm going to beat it again. And at this point, this is where you can go around the bowl with your mixer and you can pull the sides in that feel that like they're liquid. Or you can use a spoon. It's up to you. I'm just going around with the mixer and I'm scraping the edges of the bowl. All right. Let's go back to level 3. Just want to dissolve the sugar and give it a little more thickness. Now, I've stopped the mixer because I just want to make sure that I've got all the whipping cream from the sides. So I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to go around the edges and I'm going to push whatever's on the edges towards the middle. I'm just what we call scraping down the bowl. Now, please don't worry if you don't get it all. It doesn't matter. And I'm just stirring it a little bit. Just put that spoon aside. And let's whip one more time at level 3. And I'm keeping my mixer in the center now because I pushed. And now I'm going to go towards the edges. Okay, I hope you guys were able to hear me. I'm going to give it a test. So now it's even thicker than before. And we've added a little bit more sugar. Now it's harder to pick up. It's nice and thick. Let's see what happens when we tilt the spoon over the bowl. It took a while to fall off. So it took longer to fall off the spoon than before. So let's just try a little. And it's to my liking and sweetness. So you guys might want to add a little more. You might want to add a little less. It's preference. Don't go too sweet. At this point, we're going to remove we unplugged our appliance because I'm just going to push whatever's off on the beaters. I'm pushing it into the bowl with my fingers. If I were to do that with the mixer on, plugged in, you never know what could happen. I could get my fingers chopped off. So I'm just throwing whatever's on the beaters into the bowl. Don't worry if you can't get it all. Just try to get as much as possible. So I'm just going to, the mixer has a button at the top, and I'm just going to press it and let the beaters fall into the sink. So they automatically fell. So we put our mixer aside. And we no longer need our plates with our spoons. And I have still cream on my hands, okay? So that goes in the sink. Now we've got our whipped cream. It's ready. Let's put the icing sugar aside. And all we've got on our counter now, let me rinse off my fingers. All we've got on our counter now is our bowl of whipped cream, and I have a mason jar of cinnamon. So I'm going to bring over the dessert, and I'm going to remove the plastic wrap, and I'm going to throw that out. And if you put your hand on the cookies now, they're nice and soft. They're nice and soft. And I'm just pressing down a little bit. You probably have about 2 fingers, the width of your 2 fingers empty space. So it should fit most of the whipped cream. So I forgot to get a spoon. So I'm just going to take my bowl of whipped cream and I'm just going to push some whipped cream onto one spot and some more onto another spot. Now there's more left in the bowl. I don't know if I'm going to use it all. I'm pretty sure I will. But let's see. Let's start spreading this. Again, just like we did with the pudding, I just have a tablespoon in my hands, and I'm just going to, with the bottom of the tablespoon, I'm just going to spread it. And I can just feel the cream. I'm pressing lightly, and I can feel it. And I'm going to go back and forth and back and forth. And I'm just going to pulling it towards the edges. Pulling towards all the edges. Now, don't worry, there's more whipped cream in the bowl. So I'm just going to try to cover it as much as possible. And I can feel the cream spreading. Now, it doesn't matter if I haven't covered it all completely. I'm pretty good. My one side feels like it has more, and my top side feels like it has less. So, again, we've got more whipped cream in the bowl. So I'm just going to put some more in. Okay. And I'm going to push the cream that I just dumped in where I felt that it needed more. Now, at this point, guys, especially blind folks, sighted people will use a beautiful, the decorating bags, and they'll pipe this into now I'm using my finger to also help me to figure out where I need more, and I'm spreading. Sighted people will use a icing bag, and they will make pretty designs. This will taste just as good without designs. So don't worry about it. If you can do it, great. So now I'm just going across, and I can feel, where there's more and less. Now, whipped cream is a little harder to get even and spread. My family isn't going to care. But because I'm sending this off to somebody, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add whatever's left in the bowl, even though it seems like there's no more room, and I'll tell you why. Okay, and I'm pushing it out of the bowl with my hands. The reason I did that is because now I'm going to use my hands to even it out. And don't worry about getting it on the rim of the bowl, because we're going to clean that off. Okay, I just want to get it as even as possible. Now, if I think there's too much, I will remove some. So I'm spreading it, and I'm trying to get it as even as possible. And there's a lot in the middle, so I'm pushing towards the sides. Now I'm going to use both my hands, and I'm going to press down lightly. Now, because there's a lot of whipped cream on here, and you probably don't need this much, so I've got quite a bit on my hands. I'm not finished spreading, but I'm going to wash off my hands and get rid of this cream. Okay, I'm going to dry my hands a little bit. because we don't want water on our whipped cream. That would damage our cream. Okay? So I'm going to do it again. I'm putting my hands lightly, and I'm feeling the edges. And a little to my right corner. Now this looks like I'm making a mess, and I am. But again, you'll see, we'll solve it. And I'm just pushing cream to where I feel it's empty. Now, if you don't have cream totally even, please don't worry. Okay, now I'm going to take a spoon, just because I feel that my hands weren't able to get a spot. So I'm just going to try with my spoon to push more into that corner. And I'm just going around the edges now, and I'm just spreading again. Now, if you think this is too much, you can remove some. At this point, and I'm just making circles now with the spoon. I'm just playing now. Okay, that's good enough. You know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, you're going to take a damp napkin, like a paper towel, and just go around the edges. Don't worry if you get cream on the napkin. You're just going to go around the edges, and I'm going around the rim. Going around the rim. Okay, let's get another napkin. And I'm going to go around the rim. We're just cleaning off the rim from whipped cream. It doesn't matter that you put more whipped cream on this. Some people will toss it off their piece, but remember, I'm going to put cling wrap on this. So a lot of this whipped cream might even stick to the cling wrap. So you're going to lose some whipped cream anyway. So who cares if you've got more? So I'm just going around the rim, and I'm pretty confident from what I can feel that I've got it off the rim. Now, cinnamon. Make sure your hand is very dry. And I just want to make sure my hand is really dry. Hold on. You don't want the cinnamon sticking to your hands. Your hands need to be totally dry. So with one hand, I'm holding my mason jar. I'm going to dip my two fingers, my thumb and the one that's next to the thumb. And I'm going to grab a big pinch of cinnamon, and I'm holding it really tight in my hands. So right now, nothing is falling out of my hands. And I'm going to hold it, my hand, I'm going to find my top right corner, and I'm going to start rubbing my hands while I go across the dessert. So I went from right all the way to left. And some places may get a little more cinnamon, and I'm taking another pinch. And again, I'm rubbing my two fingers while I'm moving my hand across. You can put as much cinnamon as you like. I think you should have a couple of pinches. I think that you should have a little bit of a taste of cinnamon. This dessert needs to be refrigerated. Don't leave it out. I mean, if you have a party and you take it out and it's sitting, you know, on your buffet table for an hour, nothing's going to happen to it. But the colder, the better. Serve this right out of the fridge. It's cold, it's custardy, it's creamy, it's vanilla, it's delicious. So I'm going to put cling wrap on this, and I'm going to put it back in the fridge. And when you take your cling wrap off, if some whipped cream has stuck on your cling wrap, therefore, hence you've lost some cinnamon, that's okay. Throw the cling wrap off, out, add a little bit more cinnamon, and then serve it. You may lose some, it doesn't matter. And because my husband is going to take this to my cousins, I'm actually going to put the cling wrap and put it in the fridge. Put your cling wrap tightly. If you stretch out I'm just rinsing my hands off from the cinnamon. If you put your cling wrap really tightly, your whipped cream, if it's not all the way to the top, which mine is, may not stick to the cling wrap. But if it does, it doesn't matter. So that's our dessert. I hope you guys make it. I hope you can find the cookies that I told you guys about yesterday. Alatini or Papadopoulou, Greek bakery, and everything else you can find at your supermarkets. I told you guys about the vanilla powder. Can't find it, use vanilla extract. Anybody I've served this dessert to is in heaven. So I would love to hear from you guys if you make it. Try it, let me know. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section. And that's it for today. I wish I could eat this, but I've promised it to somebody else. So for now, until our next episode, a blind kiss to you, and definitely to you. Bye, everybody. Mwah. I am your host, Zoe Fiogos. With sincere love and gratitude, I thank you for watching Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner.